Life is changing before us. Technology is trying to steal your soul. Technology is trying to make you a materialist. Technology is trying to make you think that materialism is eternal. This is what happened in Hebrew. The other planet it blew up because of this, according to records that are archived. And here we are imitating what blew up the other planet. So take a good look at yourself and try to understand if you're a materialist. Materialists just think money, they're obsessed about money, they're about more, and they think that's their happiness. It's nice to have some money, but if your life's dictated by money and things, you're not being a soul, you're being a greed-infested materialist. Well, why do I even say that? Because I have some, not, well, I'd call it concern about the changes on the earth. You know, more volcanoes, more hurricanes, more complications, tidal waves, tsunami waves, earthquakes, right? The earth is letting us know, hey, will you guys get your shit together? You human beings are destroying Mother Earth. And that's how you blow up a planet. And what's the worst instigator of it? Electronics. We are trying to change the vibratory rate of the human being's nervous system, the electronics, through technology, causing them to be compute beings or robot beings or robotic thought forms that are obsessed about money. Half the time talking on the internet to people, that's all they think about. And then if you have a conversation, they bring it right into the material world over and over. It's crazy. If you're a soul, you like to connect at the soul level. On the internet, it's not the common thing. It's more about the individual selfieism and totally about them. Connecting is like almost a sin. Technology has made people detour from each other as though the other person is the enemy. They've made people hate each other. It's made people get defiant towards one another. It's made people aggressive towards one another. And if you haven't seen it, well, you probably don't meditate too much and you probably don't inquire within yourself too much, which is the correspondent relationship between soul and spirit. It's not in the external world. The external world is about the environment. That's a conditioned love. It's not a true love. The true love is within. The true love is something within us. So if you've lost yourself in materialism and you're aggrandized and, headstrong about arrogance and dominance of correctedness and superiority and perfectionism, well, that's your ego. And that's okay. You can be an egotist and you can think you're right and you can be right. However, I want to help the earth. So I share this because, we can have a blown up planet or we can have a place that has more peace in it and people being kinder to each other. The Dalai Lama says his religion is kindness, being kind. Kindness acts helps life. It helps life. On the internet, people lose that a lot of times. They'll say the word. A lot of these high industry places, they've figured that out, and they'll say, "Be kind. We're kind to you. Kindly do this and kindly do that," in a technology voice, and then. But what do they want with the same thing? Well, just give us $1,000. Just give us $500. This is greed. And then saying the word kind. So it's a trick, a trickster, you see. It's kind of a joke. If you're trying to get more spiritualized or be more of a beingness or more of an essence, you got to have one thought, one word, one action. They're doing dual manipulation, trying to externalize the computer and make a black void of you in the dark of the black of life. Not the black skin, stuff like that. Those people are lovely. The black, the dark, right? We're all the same skin, but black, void. So it's like this bitter field is being created of darkness, and you got a choice, and you can be a part of it or not. And the younger generation is stupid about it. They're on their phones all the time, and they're thinking they're junkies that way. So instead of a heroin fix, they need a cell phone fix. And what do? They get off of it and they start just screaming and yelling and going off. Who did that? We did. Humanity did that. God didn't do that. That's a misuse of reason, a soul sickness in humanity. We need to start putting the brakes on some of this stuff that we think so advanced. We call ourselves civilized. That's not civil. Civilization is based on humanitarianism, not on secular dominance with money value. That's not it. Well, you can think it's it. You can ask anyone that's simple, that lives a simple life. They've figured this out. Anyone that's got a complex life and they want to be huge and bigger egotists, well, they don't get simple. They don't get kind. They get big and more. Greed. So you gotta see. You gotta find out yourself who you are, and what you're made of. You gotta see if you're drowning in the black or the dark of the void that they're creating. They were making an experiment with this void. I don't know the exact location, but they were trying to make a new universe in that void. And then these other beings found that out, and they blew it up, what they were creating, because they were going to create too much destruction. The void side is destructive matter. The light side is constructive matter. So if you're going to work in matter, you want to get at least a little bit more constructive than destructive. Well, the materialists like more destruction because they think that consumption is the key to dominance. They think consumption is the key to life. Well, you can't consume so much if you didn't assimilate it. If you don't assimilate it, you've got too much on your plate. You got a small mouth and you got a big plate and a heaping of food. You can't consume it. You can't consume it all, and then so you save some, and the food gets rotten. Well, that's the same thing with things. You get too many things, they get rotten, and you're like, well, that used to be fun, but it's no longer fun. I need a new toy. What's the technology's latest toy? So I can get addicted, so I can have a new toy and then show it off and tell everyone, oh, how about a new car? Yeah, let me get a new car. Yeah, let me get an electronic car and I'll show it to everyone and brag about the car. Yeah. Okay, what are they going to do next? Well, they're going to make a little car hybrid plane. Yeah, I need one of those. Oh, what's next after that? Well, I got you wouldn't believe it. I got a car that can become a boat, it can become a plane, and it can become a rocket. I can go to the moon. Wow. Yeah, that's great technology. Wow, what about the human soul? You see, tricking yourself, it's fun, these things, they're nice, but man, tricking yourself away from your own identity of what you are and who you are and why actually you came here, well, if you don't figure it out and you don't want to figure it out, just wait till you die. You'll get your papers and they'll tell you where you belong. You know, when you figure something out and it's neat and you want to share it to everyone, and then you share it all over the place, and yet you don't reason on cause and effect of it. You don't reason on the fact of karma. Cause and effect is karma. And when you have a cause, you get an effect. When you have Karma, because you made too much materialism, you're attached to the material. Well, when you're attached to the material too much, you get dense, you get thick, you get heavy. Well, a lot of people they feel that way when they get too much material, and then so what do? They figure out, well, I'm going to give some of this away. And they feel a little lighter. Then they give away a little bit more. They feel lighter. And they give away more. They feel lighter, and then and they didn't realize that's the law of generosity, the law of charity. Some have. But when you're doing that, you see, you're trying to balance out the dark and the light. So if you keep creating destruction or dark or void, and it's through materialism, right? Well, you're creating destruction, but then you're being more constructive to the soul by charity and generous. But if you look at it and you realize, why am I doing that? What is the purpose? Oh, I'm doing that because, I came from poverty. Oh, and so I become addicted to it. Oh, I think that's the key to life. Oh. Well, you see a few of these actors or actresses that came from poverty, and they don't need a big ass house or a mansion or 15 cars. They just go, okay, I'm gonna live humbly. I'm gonna live in an apartment, or I'm gonna live in this little 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom house. I don't need all that big stuff. Now those people, see, are using their smarts. They're not trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger. They're living simple. That's the key of the soul, is more simple. Bigger causes more complexity. It don't matter where you're at and who you are and what your title is or what your name is, per se. We're all children of God. We're all, growing. Yet you have to discover where you're stuck or where you're at or where you're not moving or grooving. And then when you do that, then your life starts to change. Change is inevitable. It depends on what you put in, called potential energy, like a battery. How much do you store? Good karma, bad karma. How much do you store? Yeah? Are you storing too much wealth? This greed for wealth, this greed for luxury. A lot of times there's greed for honor. A lot of times there's greed for prestige. A lot of times, most people have greed for security. We didn't have that when we were growing up, so I need more. And they don't reason on it. Sometimes it's hard to reason on, but it's because of the root chakra, the first chakra, which actually corresponds to the tailbone and the genitals, physiologically, anatomically, and vibrationally. And it can have its effect in the lower extremity, and like the buttocks or down below, the thighs, the knees, the ankles, the feet. A lot of times people injure themselves physically in those areas because a stagnant thought that's in the mind that's interrupting the flow to the gut. People that are starving, I'm starving to death, or would be greedy to be nurtured, or greedy for, a zest for life, or feeling, starved for love, a starving greed for love. And that causes an external problem. So sometimes people walk, they fall on their left. They walk again, they fall on their left. They walk, they fall on their left. That's a male problem. They walk, they fall on their right. That's a female problem. Oh, they twisted their ankle on the right, female. Oh, they twisted their knee on the left, male. Ankle, flow of life, knee, decision making. Could be anger, could be fear, could be resentment in the knee. Right? Hip, what are you hip around? Right? Same thing. Left side male, right side female. Left side, okay. Didn't feel what? Support. How? Hips are supportive to hold the spine up through the sacrum, through the coccyx. So you can figure out physiological and anatomical correspondences to the mind about choices. Choices are the key factor of the heart. So you have to know yourself in order to change yourself. In order to do that, you want to find what your blocks are, where your work is. Where are you supposed to work on yourself? If you're not working on yourself and you haven't involved yourself with yourself, you're missing out big time. You're just trying to accumulate. You're just trying to get more. It's not going to satisfy you, I promise you, if it already hasn't. You can keep getting more and more, but it will not satisfy you. You'll just feel greedy for power and think that that greed for power is what you are. That's not what you are. I'm a soul, you're a soul, we are souls. We belong to God. God owns us. You don't die and go to materialism. You go to this light dimension. It's called the astral. Can you take your bucks with you? No. Can you take your house? No. Can you take your car? No. You leave it all. So while you're here on earth, you're learning how to detach bit by bit, more by more, learning nothing, not to identify with the things so much. But materialists, that's all they identify with. And they get so addicted to it that they think that's the key. And so examine yourself, look at yourself, find yourself, see what you're doing. You don't have to guilt yourself to death if you're a materialist. You just want to know, I need to balance this out. Maybe you don't, but I'll tell you, at 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years into it, you'll think that way, what I'm telling you right now. I've had many clients when I was in my 20s and they were in their 70s, 60s and 70s, and that's what they would tell me. And I didn't know what they were talking about, but I do know what they're talking about. And they had materialism, they had prestige, they had honor, they had all those things, but they said they were missing something. And they were earnest, they were sincere. So learn to burn at the right rate. If you don't learn to burn at the right rate, you destroy, you burn up too fast. Greed is a fast burner. If you want to turn her, you have to modulate your furnace, the liver, and the combustion organ, the spleen, and get the heat, temperature, gradients proper. Worry goes to the spleen. Anger, frustration, jealousy goes to the liver. The burning rate for power is located in those organs, combined with the stomach, the pancreas, and the upper part of the small intestine. And those comprise to what's called the celiac ganglion, which is a nerve cell body in the solar plexus, in the gut, the upper gut. And that is the temperament tone for temperature in the body and power. And so if you get too hot about something, that's your solar plexus. It's the way the adrenals and the hypothalamus talk to the solar plexus and the skin. The muscles they're the insulators that hold the energy in the body. If your muscles are decaying and breaking down, you can't hold as much pressure, or rather temperature. So you want to, that's what movement is for, to maintain a tone so you can regulate temperature easier. People that are hothead, we say, you're a hothead. Man, your head's so hot. And they're saying you're angry or you're pissed off or you're jealous, right? So those are coming from the liver. The ones on the other side, they're always worried about, or OCD, like OCDers about money. I mean, this is a big thing these days, and they act like it's normal to be OCD about money. And then they try to convince you that their OCD about money is the way you should be. And then if you don't do it, they act like you're wrong. I have a lot to say to them at times. But what's the point? Worry goes to the spleen. What's the spleen to? It breaks down red blood cells to transfer them over to the liver to make ultimately bile, which stains the stool. Bile, bilirubin, these are byproducts. But what happens? Well, you can burn up those red blood cells too fast and you get anemia. Well, why do people get anemia? They get anemia because they got low, concentrated iron or hemoglobin or hematocrit. And why do they get that? Because they don't want to nourish themselves. They're starving. And yet they let their mate boss them around. They let their mate control them. They don't have power usage on the left side because they're still daddy's girl or mama's boy. This happens the same. And so this combusts this spleen energy more. And then they see their mommy or their daddy, everything's fine. But then they go back to their mate and their mate's different and doesn't do that same combustion between them and the mate, causing a complication between their identification of themselves rather than knowing themselves. The art of living is knowing yourself. Know what you are, know who you are, and know when you are.